In Washington, D.C., the attempted coup inside the building...
My challenge today is not about the good people of Arizona.
...was interrupted by the one outside.
Protesters are in the building.
Guns were drawn and officials fled as Trump supporters stormed the Capitol, taking control of the chamber and congressional offices. A gunshot inside the building left a woman dead, one of 4 confirmed fatalities. As the world watched in horror, the self-proclaimed greatest democracy appearing to crumble at its own hand, live on TV.
This hour, our democracy is under unprecedented assault, unlike anything we've seen in modern times. So, President Trump, step up.
Trump is president, Christ is king.
But when Trump finally spoke, he did little to quell the chaos.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special.
Trump's full video was eventually removed by Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. Facebook and Twitter have locked his accounts, and Twitter is threatening permanent suspension. World leaders voiced their worry.
The riots and protests that we've seen in Washington, D.C. have been terribly distressing. They are very concerning.
As the Republic's own past presidents join the condemnation.
History will rightly remember today's violence at the Capitol, incited by a sitting president who has continued to baselessly lie about the outcome of a lawful election, as a moment of great dishonour and shame for our nation.
By 6 p.m. local time, the building had been cleared, with a strict curfew immediately imposed on the entirety of D.C. But the unrest is far from over. Tonight, there's renewed calls to remove Trump from office, with many convinced the man who spent years sowing doubt and discord isn't fit to see out the remaining 13 days of his term.
Our friend Michael Williams joins us once again from Washington. First up, Michael, I understand that you and your son were caught up in these protests today. Could you take us through what it was like?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. My son works at the studio. My son, Luke, I should name him. He works at the studio where we normally do our hits, our crosses with you. And he went to work today. I brought him to work, and it's across the street from the Capitol. And as soon as I dropped him off, I was right in the middle of this crowd, of this chaos. And I was seeing the crowds moving towards the Capitol. We're seeing just the scenes of chaos. I've never seen anything like it. In my lifetime here as a native Washingtonian, I've never been in around a crowd that felt as menacing, as the potential for danger, the feeling of personal endangerment, and the fact that someone that you love could be caught up in this Russian roulette of fools that was gathered and causing this type of panic. It adds another personal layer. I don't normally like to make myself feel a part of this story, but I'll tell you that the last time I had this feeling was when Notre Dame burned, and everybody watched the Cathedral of Notre Dame burn in Paris, and you had that feeling of despair, of something holy being destroyed, maybe forever. These buildings in Washington, those are my cathedrals. And I feel like I watched them burn today. I watched those buildings that I love and revere being desecrated, and having someone that you love be at risk just adds another layer to it. So it was a very, very affecting day for me as a Washingtonian and as an American.
Michael, from the other side of the world, it feels like there have been very few arrests compared to something like the Black Lives Matter protests earlier in the year. Why do you think that is?
I know why it is, and everyone knows why it is. It's almost a rhetorical question. And what we saw today was a clear juxtaposition of George Floyd being murdered for allegedly passing a fake bill. And then you have thousands of people who are storming and rioting in the Capitol, in the nation's capital. And you have virtually no arrests, no preparation for this. I guarantee you, had this been a crowd comprised differently, demographically, the body count there might have rivaled the body count for the COVID-19 deaths in America, which, by the way, world has thus again set a new high with almost 4,000 deaths.
Michael, after the reprehensible events of today, encouraged by Trump, this push to remove him from office seems like it actually may be more than just talk. Do you think it could actually happen in the next 2 weeks?
It's very difficult to say because there's a provision for the removal of the president, but it's not built for this necessarily. Impeachment is meant to be a process, not a knee-jerk response. I know we have 13 days left in this presidency, and he has shown that he will call for action from anyone who will say yes to him. That list is being gradually reduced to just the mob. Maybe it comes down to a police response. Maybe it comes down to some other type of response. Very difficult to say what people will be motivated to do. But I do know this. It will take an amount of courage that I have not seen to date from every single elected official, Republican or Democrat. God bless us, if we don't get it.
13 days at most, and he will be dragged out of there whether he likes it or not. Hang in there, Michael. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much.
With so much content online, it's sometimes hard to keep up with it all. And let's face it, who has the time? The Project YouTube has you covered with the stories that matter. Hit subscribe for a daily list of the news that you need to know.